Congratulations, you have just found the number one over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello, and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm the founder of The Silver Edge, and our mission is to help you build and maintain a lean, healthy body that you love for the rest of your life, so that you can show up in the second half of your life as the healthiest, strongest, most vital version of yourself. Today we have another episode of the Coach's Corner, so no guest, it's just me, and we'll be back next week with our normal interview format. So this week, I want to talk a little bit about Rebel Wilson's spectacular weight loss journey, since she's been in the news about that lately. And then I talk about how and why to reverse diet for long-term healthy weight maintenance. But before we get to that, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by The Silver Edge. The Silver Edge is my online nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle coaching business, catering to those of you over 50 who aren't ready to give up and buy into the common narrative of it's all downhill from here. At The Silver Edge, we take a health-first approach to working with our clients to help them build lean, strong, vital bodies that last. Look, there's no shortage of lose weight quick coaches and programs in the world, but here's the deal. You can either lose weight quickly or permanently. So, if you're tired of losing and gaining the same weight over and over again, if you're tired of constantly dieting, if you have a poor relationship with food, exercise, and your body, then I invite you to book a call and see if our services are a perfect fit for you and your goals. The easiest way to do this is head over to silveredgefitness.com and click on the coaching tab, or just shoot me an email at coach@silveredgefitness.com. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with today's show. Okay, folks, I have a couple of social media shout outs to do before we get to the main part of our show today. And I'll start with my fitness social media shout out. So today I want to shout out Diana Rogers. So Diana Rogers, you can find her on Instagram. She's probably on a bunch of other platforms as well, but that's where I follow her. She's a dietitian, she's an author, she's a filmmaker, but most of all, she's an advocate for sustainable food and sustainable agriculture. Absolutely love her content. She and I have been communicating back and forth, really hoping to get her as a guest on this show one of these days. Haven't made that happen yet, unfortunately, but those of you that are on Instagram, if you want to check her out, she's a great follow, especially in this environment where there's this crazy backlash against meat, and we have lab-grown meat. We have this shouldn't eat beef because it's bad for the environment story being told. If you want to hear maybe an intelligent view that's counter to some of that, check her out. You can follow her over at Sustainable Dish. So it's at Sustainable Dish, all run together. And I'll throw that into the show notes for this episode. You guys can find that there. For my personal shout out this week, again, going to Instagram. That's where I tend to follow most of these types of accounts. I just found this guy, and I'll tell you this. I watched one of his videos that was maybe, 30, 60 seconds long. Watched it the whole way through. It was a reel. Watched it a second time, and I was like, what the hell is this guy serious? No, he's not. So this is an account that basically is poking fun at my industry, our industry, I suspect. He's poking fun at fitness influencers. It's satire. It's great. His, I should have looked up his name. I apologize. But his handle on Instagram is at Bro Being Basic. So it's BRO, Bro Being Basic. Again, I'll throw that into the show notes. You guys can find that there. Both of those are great follows. Rebel Wilson says you don't need to eat more than 600 calories a day. Okay, so this story was in the news a couple weeks ago where Rebel Wilson claimed that people only need to eat 600 calories a day. Now, I guess I should back up first. If you don't know who Rebel Wilson is, she's an actress. She's hilarious. Absolutely love her. She was Fat Amy in the movie Pitch Perfect. And that movie probably, there were several Pitch Perfect movies that came out 10 plus years ago. So by the time Those would have made it onto DVD. My now 20-year-old daughter was prime age for those movies. She absolutely loved them, and they were in tight rotation for movie night there for a while. So I've seen all of the Pitch Perfect movies many times through. Very familiar with Rebel Wilson. She was Fat Amy. And if you're thinking, well, what do you mean Fat Amy? That you have to watch the movies to understand where that name comes from. But she's had a dramatic weight loss. And so she's been in the news a little bit talking about this. Now, I will say that so the story first came out and she made this declarative statement that people don't need to eat as many calories as they think they need, and that in fact they only need to eat 600 calories a day. I then later read that she recanted that statement and said, no, I didn't mean that they should do that long term. But let's talk for a minute about just how crazy this statement is in the context of our current diet culture. So Rebel Wilson reported that she lost 75 pounds, which, side note, is amazing. She's a 40-year-old actress and told the news outlets she was an emotional eater. She's been overweight most of her life, but she said the most she weighed was about 225 pounds, or that's the weight she was when she started this weight loss journey, all the way down to 150 pounds. So, I mean, mad respect for anybody who does that. But 600 calories is a ridiculously small amount of food and just isn't sustainable. So let's talk about, well, let me back up. Let's start with how diets work. So all diets work by being in a calorie deficit, right? There's this little thing called the law of thermodynamics that we just can't get around. So we have to be in a calorie deficit. That is, we have to eat fewer calories than we expend in order to lose weight. So that's how diets work. I don't think I'm telling you anything ground shaking or earth shattering there. You probably knew that. But let's talk about what happens in a diet. So let's say that Rebel Wilson starts this diet and she cuts her, I don't know how many calories she was eating to begin with, but let's say she slashes her calories down to 1,200. And let's say she loses 20 pounds eating. I'm just making numbers up, but let's just pretend with me here. And then she slashes them down. She plateaus. So let's say she slashes her calories. She goes on a diet. She's eating 1,200 calories and she's losing weight. Things are going great. Maybe this lasts for a month. Maybe it lasts for 2 months. She's losing weight. And then all of a sudden the scale stops moving. It's just not going down as fast as it was. It's going down a teeny bit. So she continues. She's being really, really strict. Maybe she adds another day of cardio, or maybe she's walking some more steps a day, and she's eking a little bit more weight loss out of this. But all of a sudden, what happens at 1,200 calories, she stops losing weight. She's hit a plateau, which is a very natural thing. If we could just eat a little bit less food and then magically lose weight to our desired body composition, we wouldn't have a problem with obesity, right? But what happens is we go on a diet, we plateau. So what do? We cut our calories some more. So what did we say? I think we said she started at 1,200 calories. Let's cut her now down to 900 calories. So she makes a modest cut. She loses some more weight. And then she plateaus again. So what's happening here is her metabolism is just meeting her where she is. It's just slowing things down. But now at sub 1,000 calories, some other things are happening. The body's perceiving some pretty alarming food scarcity signals, and it's starting to shut down some non-critical system. This is a 5-alarm fire kind of thing happening, metabolically speaking, as she comes down underneath 1,000 calories. Now, let's say she goes, okay, I'm done messing around. 600 calories a day it is. And she reaches this fabulous fat loss goal. So she's all the way down, 225. Now she's down to 150, but she's eating 600 calories a day. Now, like I said, that is a ridiculous amount of food. And I'm going to guess that by the time she gets to 600 calories, she's starting to feel pretty shitty. Like I said, your metabolism is spectacular at keeping us alive. That's its job. So it's now slowed to a crawl. Remember how I said it's a 5-alarm fire and it's shutting down non-critical systems. By now, it's safe to assume that she's probably not sleeping very well. Her energy's probably pretty low. She probably doesn't have any libido. Her mood's got to be crappy, right? I mean, she's got to be starving hungry. It's just not a place we want to stick around very long. But here's the trap. Once you've dieted all the way down, and this is a very extreme example of dieting, once you've dieted all the way down to 600 calories, now what? I mean, seriously, what next? It seems to me that there's really no way out of here. We got one of two options. We can either stay here for the rest of our lives, because this is what is now our new maintenance calories. Our maintenance calories are 600 calories a day, meaning that as long as I eat 600 calories, I'll maintain this 150-pound weight. But as soon as I eat more calories than that, or if I go back to the way I was eating pre-diet, I'm going to gain the weight. But staying here is not a very enviable or realistic option, right? You're not seriously going to eat 600 calories for the rest of your life. Now, I have read that Rebel has gained some of her weight back, which she attributes to there's a new baby in their household, a new infant. I think her partner had a baby, so they've got a new baby there. But either way, eating all the way down to 600 calories is a horrible idea, even if it results in something as spectacular as the weight loss that Rebel Wilson experienced. Which leads me right into my next segment. How and why to reverse diet. Okay, I thought this would be a great follow-up to the last segment there about Rebel Wilson's amazing weight loss journey. And I want to talk about reverse dieting. This is starting to get a little bit of traction. I know as a nutrition nerd, it pops up all the time. I'm very well aware of reverse dieting in our business. Not almost, all of our clients do reverse dieting. It's a part of our framework. It's a part of the natural, healthy weight loss program that we promote. But I want to talk a little bit about it because it sounds a little counterintuitive. Like, wait, reverse diet, what the heck is that? So there are two common options after we diet. Most of us don't have a problem losing weight. We have a problem maintaining that lost weight. In fact, study after study shows that people who go on diets typically lose weight. But study after study after study shows that fewer than 5% of those people, and some studies show that like fewer than 3% actually maintain that lost weight for a long period of time. So the two most common options after dieting are either stay at those restricted calories. So again, Rebel dieted all the way down to 600 calories. She could stay there forever and maintain that. Or the next most common thing to do would be to return to the way you were eating pre-diet. So in other words, basically say to yourself, oh, thank God that horrible ordeal is over. Hooray for me. Maybe have a little celebration for yourself because you did this very, very difficult thing. And then we just go back to what we were doing before. And we all know where that leads, right? So basically, of those two options, if we decide we're just going to eat down to, let's make a reasonable number of calories. So let's just say that for you ladies, for example, that are doing Weight Watchers or Optavia, the point system there has probably got you around 1,100 calories. So a very low calorie. And their plan is to keep you there. That's how they keep you at this, you're going to lose weight and then you're going to stop losing weight, but you'll be at this lower weight and you're assigning points to food, all this ridiculous stuff. But that's one way that we can handle this. But what that usually ends up in is either some type of binge eating or you just saying, screw this. This is just too much. I don't like it here. I'd rather be fat, frankly, than to continue to restrict my eating for the rest of my life. Or the second option there was that returning to pre-diet. We all know what happens there. And in fact, you may notice the phenomena of not just gaining your pre-diet weight back, but of adding a few extra pounds each time. And there's a physiological reason that happens. It has to do with the number of fat cells and the fat cell size, that each time you diet, that gets a little uglier and uglier. But basically, what it seems like to you is you go on a diet and lose this weight. And then what do you know, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months later, that weight comes creeping insidiously back and it's brought a few of its extra friends along with it. So now you're, as opposed to being, the 10 pounds that you lost, you gain 12 back. Most of you out there probably can relate to that. All right. So let's switch over here and talk about reverse dieting. First of all, what the heck is a reverse diet? Basically, a reverse diet is just a slow, controlled method of backing out of a diet. So we're going to end a diet at some point. We're not going to diet forever, right? We want a method to add more calories back into our diet over time, but we don't want that to result in weight gain. So that's the why of reverse dieting. We want to get back to a reasonable amount of food, but without gaining weight, or without at least gaining fat. And we should make a distinction between weight loss and fat loss, as well as weight gain and fat gain, because if we lose muscle, that's not desirable, especially for those of us over 50. But on the other hand, if we gain a little bit of muscle, that's actually a desirable thing for a number of different reasons. Ladies, it's going to give you more of that toned, lean look that you're looking for. Guys, we want to be jacked. Well, and you're going to need to have some muscle in order to have that aesthetic look. And then as you diet, we strip away some of that fat to showcase that new muscle that you built. So that's what a reverse diet is. It's adding calories back in this very slow, controlled manner in order to get you back to a sensible and healthy amount of calories without gaining the weight back. Now, who should reverse diet? So there's actually several reasons to reverse. I just told you a few minutes ago that 100% of our clients are doing reverse diets at some point in their journey with us. That's a part of our framework. But one reason might be just because you want to improve your metabolic health. Another reason might be because you want to build muscle. So if you have a slow, sluggish, stagnant metabolism, one way to get it revved up is do a reverse diet, to sensibly start adding some more food. And for those of you that are looking again to build some more muscle, we have to be in a calorie surplus to build muscle, and I think that gets lost a lot. But doing so in a sensible way, aka a reverse diet, is a great way to pack some muscle on. But we're going to talk about reverse dieting today primarily as a tool for weight loss, since that's what I'm guessing most of you are interested in. Okay, so now we know what reverse dieting is and why we might do it. Let's get down to it. Let's talk about how we reverse diet. And to make this easier, let's take an example. Let's say we have a 55-year-old woman who has ended her diet at 1,000 calories, just to keep things simple, nice round number. So she's dieted, let's say she's lost 10 pounds in the last 2 months. That's perfectly reasonable, right? And being at 1,000 pounds, whereas I would never want any of my clients to get that low. It's very, very, very common. Again, if you're a female and if you're doing a program like Optavia or Weight Watchers, chances are you're eating between 1,000 and 1,200 calories on that program. But at any rate, let's say we've got somebody, she's dieted, she's down to 1,000 calories, she's lost 10 pounds, but let's further assume that she wants to lose another 10 pounds, but her weight loss has stalled. And let's just say she's on Weight Watchers, right? She's on Weight Watchers. She's attributing points to her food, and she's eating this paltry 1,000 calories a day. So she's kind of hungry. She's a little bit hangry, kind of cranky, but she's lost some weight. So she's happy about that, but her weight loss has stalled. The scale isn't budging. So she's got a couple options here. She can cut more calories. She could increase her activity. She could throw in some more treadmill running or something along those lines. But if she does that, she's heading for basically metabolic disaster. She's going to dig a deeper metabolic hole, and she's probably already feeling some of the ill effects from eating a low-calorie diet for some time. Because again, remember, our body doesn't understand, our brain doesn't really understand that lizard part of our brain that's meant to keep us alive. It doesn't understand we're on a diet. It just perceives food scarcity, and it's just shuttling around hormones and other things in order to best adapt to this new, what it perceives as an alarming situation, this food scarcity. All right, so she decides, in our case, to reverse diet. So there's basically two approaches to reverse dieting. There's a conservative approach and there's an aggressive approach. And I suppose you could say there's in between a moderate approach as well. Here's the difference. In a conservative approach, we're going to minimize the weight gain during the reverse diet, but it's going to take a longer period of time. If we decide to go more aggressively, we run the risk of a bit more weight gain, but it's much quicker. So why might you choose one over the other? I say conservative is usually better if you are somebody who is patient and can take the time. You're in this for the long game. You're done with crash dieting, yo-yo dieting, and you're looking for a permanent solution. I'm a big fan of conservative. So what does conservative mean? Basically, we're going to add, and here's the formula, folks, we're going to add 10 to 15% additional daily calories per week. So let's keep things simple. We're going to go with 10% for our example. So remember our hypothetical dieter, she left off at 1,000 calories. She wants to reverse diet. So 10% of 1,000 brings us to 1,100. So week 1, she's going to start her reverse diet by eating 1,100 calories a day. So 7 days a week, she's going to hit 1,100 calories. Week 2, she's going to hit 1,200 calories. Week 3, 1,300, 1,400. In the 5th week, she's up to 1,500 calories. Now, if we do this right, her weight gain should be nil or negligible. She may gain a pound and a half. But if we do this right, basically what we're doing this slowly so that the metabolism is keeping pace with the new amount of calories that are incoming. And when we get to 1,500, now we take 10% of 1,500, that's 150 calories. So we might start our jumps a little more aggressively. So let's just say in week 6, we jump up by 150 calories. So now week 6, we're at 1,650 calories for that week. Week 7, 1,800 calories. Week 8, 1,950. Week 9, 2,200 calories. So that's 9 weeks. That's a long time. It requires patience. And this is exactly why most people don't do this, and probably why you haven't heard a whole lot about reverse dieting. It's a long, slow, patient game. But think of the reverse diet as a part of the diet. So as opposed to saying, I'm going to diet for 8 weeks, think to myself, okay, I'm going to diet for 16 weeks because I'm going to diet for 8 weeks and then I'm going to do this slow reverse back out. But here's what happened. At the end of this 9-week period, she's eating 1,200 more calories than when she started this reverse. And her weight has only gone up maybe 1 or 2 pounds. And as we're going to talk about here in a minute, we would hope that that weight gain has come from muscle and not from fat. If we do this right, any weight we gain in that reverse diet process will come from muscle and not from fat. And that is a huge distinction. All right, so bear with me. 9 weeks ago, we have this hypothetical woman eating 1,000 calories, stuck. She had plateau. She wasn't losing any more weight. We've reverse dieted her up to 2,200 calories. She's now eating 1,200 calories more. And for all practical purposes, she weighs the same. She may even look a little better. She probably does look a little better. Hell, she's got more food in her now. I bet her mood's better. I bet her libido's better. I bet she's sleeping better. I bet she's got more energy. And she can actually live her life. Right? She can go out with her spouse. She can go out with her friends. She can have a drink and not constantly be obsessed over, oh, no, I've got to count my points, or I can't eat anymore today because I'm at my max, right? She's got more food freedom here. All right. So a couple of caveats on how this works best. How do we optimize this? So reverse diets work best when the additional calories come from real whole foods. So in other words, we don't want her obviously eating Twinkies and Pop-Tarts and drinking sodas for these extra calories. And we don't want her eating stovetop stuffing or Kraft macaroni and cheese either. What we would prefer is that these calories are coming from real whole foods. Again, you guys, if you've been around here for a while, you've heard me harp on this over and over and over again. We want some good lean protein sources. We want fruits. We want vegetables. We want healthy starches. And the other caveat with reverse dieting is that it also works best when combined with strength training. And I know I say this over and over again, but especially for those of us over 50. So as this woman is doing her reverse diet, she's adding more calories, but we're giving those calories a purpose. They're coming from a good, clean fuel source, and we're strength training. So she's doing this strength training, and these calories, now these additional calories have a place to go. Our body's not going to take these additional calories and say, oh, woohoo, extra calories, let's storm for fat in case there's another one of those alarming food scarcity events. In this case, the body's saying, oh, I feel safe, I feel comfortable. We have these increased strength demands on the body. Let's take these extra calories and shuttle them and build some muscle because it's required from this weight training. So this is where you ultimately want to end your diet. I think this is the main point I want to make here. Unlike Rebel Wilson, who apparently ended a diet eating 600 calories. Don't end your diet eating 600 calories. Don't end your diet eating 1,000 calories. Ladies, don't end your diet eating 1,200 calories. Guys, don't end your diet eating 1,600 calories. So let's talk about that, about ending the diet. If we end at the top of a reverse, in other words, we've reset our new maintenance calories. Remember our example, our lady, her maintenance calories were 1,000 calories. In other words, she was eating 1,000 calories a day and the scale wasn't budging. It wasn't going down, it wasn't going up, it wasn't going anywhere. But now we have her at 2,200 calories. And this, once again, the scale's not budging. It's not going up. It's not going down. We have her at her new maintenance calories at 2,200. This is where we want to end our diet, so to speak. We've now got a healthy body composition, but let's go back. Remember, we said that our hypothetical lady, she's 55 years old. She's stuck at 1,000 calories. The scale's not moving. We reverse diet her, but remember, she had another 10 pounds to lose. So what do? We've got her reversed to 2,200 calories. That's her new maintenance calories. We're going to leave her there for a minimum of, let's say 4 weeks. She's going to stay 4 weeks eating 2,200 calories a day. This is going to let her body adjust to these new maintenance calories. And then we're going to start a whole new diet cycle. Only this time it's very, very extremely unlikely that she's going to diet all the way down to 1,000 calories. If she's one of our clients, none of my coaches are going to ask her to eat that little bit of food. We'll get her down maybe to 16, maybe 15, 1,400 calories, depending on, again, everybody's a little bit different. We're all bio individuals, but we're not crash dieting. We're going to go down to a sensible diet. We're going to not mess around. We're going to drop some weight. And then we're going to start that slow process again. We're going to reverse diet back to 2,200 calories, maybe more. Maybe we get her to 2,400 calories. Maybe we get crazy and bring her to 2,600 calories. But we're going to bring her someplace that is sustainable, that allows her to enjoy her life. And this is where she's going to step off of the diet merry-go-round, the diet roller coaster. She's coming out at the top. Her new maintenance calories are 2,500 calories, whatever they are, right? In a place that is much more likely for her to be able to sustain long-term. The other thing that's happened here is, since this has been a long process, right? We talked about this 9-10 week reverse, and then another 4 weeks at maintenance, and then probably another 4 to 8 weeks of another diet cycle. Then we're back to that long 10-week reverse and another 4 weeks of maintenance. She's spent enough time here where she's starting to get the idea of how this framework works, and she has adopted these new healthy habits, right? She's decided, hey, I enjoy eating cleaner. I enjoy going to the gym my 3 days a week and doing my strength training. I enjoy getting my steps in. I'm getting plenty of water. So she's developed these healthy habits, and now she can make minor tweaks. If she's going, I'd like to build a little more muscle. Oh, you know what? Maybe let me reverse up for a few weeks and really focus on strength training. Or if she's going, you know what? I feel like I might be getting a little fluffy here. Let me do a quick cut. Let me do a quick diet. And then let me sensibly reverse myself back out of here. Compare that to poor Rebel Wilson, who finished her diet at 600 measly calories. That is a miserable existence, and it's an absolute certain recipe for disaster. That weight is going to be regained. There's no person on earth, I don't care how strong your willpower is, I don't care how motivated you are, 600 calories a day is just no way to go through life. So let me finish with this. For most of you out there listening to this, if you're like, hey, this sounds interesting, I'd like to put this into practice for myself. Here's how I'd recommend going about it. I would use reverse dieting as a pre-diet strategy. This is basically what we do with our clients. When they come in, almost all of them start with some type of a reverse. Now, for some people, that's pretty short and sweet. Other people, it's a little longer. We call it a metabolic restoration stage, but really what it is one of the tools of metabolic restoration is absolutely reverse dieting. But here's what I would encourage you to do. Step 1, track everything you eat and drink for a week. I like MyFitnessPal, but I think it's Chronometer is another one. There's tons of apps that'll do this. It's a pain in the ass. I get it. But weigh, measure, track all of your food for a week. Don't change what you're eating. I'm assuming that your weight is more or less stable, but let's get an idea for how many calories you're averaging each day in a week. So for example, if you track across a week and you notice that you eat 1,400 calories one day, 17 the next, and then 15 the next, and then 17, and then 14, and then the weekend comes and you eat 2,000 and you eat 2,000, well, your average is probably 1,700, let's just say. Haven't done the math, but maybe it's somewhere in there, right? But just get a ballpark of how many calories you're currently averaging each day. Do this for a week. That way you make sure you catch a weekend in there. Now, this is just some general numbers, but I'm going to throw them out there as just a kind of a stake in the ground. For you ladies, if your daily calorie average is under 1,600 calories, I would humbly submit you have no business starting a diet. Do a reverse diet. Get yourself back up to 22, 23, 2,400 calories. Stay there for a month and then start your diet. Guys, if you're eating under 2,000 calories, again, you got no business dieting from there. You don't have enough room to work. You're not in a metabolically healthy enough place. Do a reverse diet. Get yourself up to 2,800 calories first. Hang out there for a month, then go for it. Get in your diet. Don't mess around. Spend 4-8 weeks. Basically, you're going to spend as long as A, you can tolerate, or B, until your weight starts to plateau. Once that weight loss stops happening, that's your signal that it's time to get out of there. The other signal is you don't want to do it anymore. You spent 6, 8, 12 weeks in a diet. Now you notice all of a sudden your libido is dropping. You're not sleeping as well. You don't have as much energy. That's a red flag. Time for you to start doing that reverse diet. Get the heck out of there. Get those calories built back up. I hope this information was helpful. Again, this is something we do with 100% of our clients. It's a part of our framework. If you folks are out there and you have a weight loss initiative, especially talking to you folks that have a long history with dieting, I know it's heartbreaking, but we talk to some of our clients that have basically dieted their entire adult lives. I'm talking to you folks that are out there on crazy diet plans, things like Weight Watchers, Optavia, you folks that are doing maybe intermittent fasting or keto because you have a friend that said they lost weight using those things. There's a better way. So there you go, reverse diet. If you haven't tried it before, try incorporating that. I think what you'll find is the patience that this requires pays off in long-term, permanent body composition change. Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you've enjoyed this podcast, I want to let you know that we have other free resources over at silveredgefree.com. There you'll find our free guides with our top tips on nutrition, exercise, and healthy lifestyle to assist you in your weight loss and fitness journey. So feel free to head over there and download anything that looks useful to you. I'll put links to everything we talked about in the show notes, and you can find those over at silveredgefitness.com/207. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in two important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and you podcast folks, please consider giving this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.